range of $2 to $11 billion. But let me just explain what the opportunity is and how we would engage each of them. We see it in two fundamental capabilities. The first is what we call operational performance. You have an existing application, it's running slowly, it's often because the queries are performing badly and running slowly because of joins, or you have a large number of queries, a lot of chatter and traffic to the database. Our open source product is designed to tackle that head on. With a widespread adoption through the developer and architects, and give you a solution that will address your immediate operational performance and for us gain footprint, and over time we can convert that into revenue. The second level of our value proposition, however, is the ability to actually be able to run these queries in real time against operational data. Now this is a whole new level of value into the enterprise. So it's the ability to derive operational intelligence in real time on that operational data without having to go through traditional sort of ETL processes with all the cost and latency that introduces into the data stack. And that solution is more part of our enterprise license. So the way in which we monetize this is adoption footprint through developers and operators with addressing the problem of operational performance, and then on top of that is directly more targeted at the enterprise is the ability to deliver operational reporting.
Very quickly, I seem to understand that you have an appliance, in essence, that you would add.
Actually, it's not an appliance. It's actually software. There is no physical hardware with our deployment model. That's simply a choice of the customer.
So we have a new entity in the system that allows me to speed up, my existing application through some magic through the joins. Have you had any discussions, with some of the security organizations and teams in terms of adding another layer there, or you're such at the substrate that you don't have any worries?
No, I mean, clearly security issues are an increasing problem for anybody in the database field. So first of all, we sit today, our first go-to-market, we work with MySQL, and we sit under MySQL, under the Storage Engine API. So basically, we enjoy the same level of tooling and security as the MySQL ecosystem allows. Over time, I think we will look to be able to add more independent security capabilities directly with the product, and that's part of our enterprise offering. But today, we sit and take full advantage of the existing MySQL ecosystem with all the security and tooling that exists.
Yeah, as more people go to move to encrypting data at rest, this is sort of the countermeasure in some ways to deal with the performance of that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there are so many different applications and innovation of the technology that with any startup, the discipline is to stay focused and to get a very targeted go-to-market strategy, which we've done, I think, and hope. I should say, actually, just to give you an idea of where we are in the evolution of the company, we are in private beta right now with our product. We are releasing our open source version early summer. And then we'll start to add the enterprise license capabilities against that towards the end of the year. The company has completed a Series A. We're backed by Northbridge on the East Coast, if you know them, and Foundation Capital here on the West Coast, some good deep-pocketed guys, because this is not a small problem. This is a pretty thorny infrastructure problem that we're addressing. So well-funded, 15 people. The guys in the company come from a range of really experienced founders. Several of them have actually been founders in their own right. We have the founder of Object Store and Object Design. Some people may remember that old object database. He's coming back at it again to put a SQL front end on it this time. We have the architect who built the second generation Iron Mountain archival infrastructure with petabytes of data under management. We've got our engineering leads are out of EMC. It's a very talented and experienced team in delivering this kind of secure, reliable architecture.
I'll ask a question since the guys are kind of like still thinking about it. You mentioned there's no code change, right? And so is that at all levels? So from the client and SQL calls to right down to stored procedures?
So no change at stored procedures. We give you these two options as to how you can consume the data. One is through SQL. You've got a couple of choices there. You can use our existing adapter with MySQL, and where there's no code change whatsoever. We give you a more optimized SQL access, where you'll get even better performance improvements than that. But if you want to take that route, that takes a small amount of work. But also through the data API, you can access this data directly from, for instance, the Memcache protocol, or directly from Hibernate. Today, you can access with the Memcache protocol. In the summer release, we will be adding to that Hibernate and Ruby Active record. And the idea there is that we're really going to give developers the ability to work with relational data without all the overhead of trying to deal with the efficiencies and the data architecture problems that they would otherwise face. So they can work in the programming models that they're used to. They can work with objects that have been pre-computed with all the related information together. And then we actually present those objects back to them as JSON objects. So, from a technical point of view, this is the environment in which developers like to work. And so for those guys, it really is not only fitting into their existing code, because we actually work through the drivers in the framework, so they don't have to rewrite anything, but it's also really working with their existing development paradigms. So, fundamental to any one of these adoption strategies is how do I get into the community in such a way that you're really enhancing the existing paradigms in that community and not introducing any levels of friction.
Do you see this layer as a potential enabler for a new approach to building your applications? Transformations?
We see it as transformational in terms of allowing you to work with SQL at its best. So allowing you to continue to use the logical models, the SQL constructs that you've had in the past, and allowing that to continue to scale even into this new environment of much more, much higher volume and much greater complexity in that respect. These innovations open up all kinds of additional opportunities, and there's opportunities for hardware vendors around memory hierarchy management, storage hierarchy management. We dramatically reduce IOPS within this architecture. We make it possible for you to use low-cost commodity memory infrastructure more efficiently and effectively, and low-cost storage infrastructure more efficiently and effectively. So we think there will be a lot of additional innovations over time. We're focused on solving the SQL scalability problem.
Okay, we're done. Thank you. Okay, next up, Justin Borgman. Justin?